Welcome back to Mr. Harvey Motivation Speech. Stop being nice to men. Respect is earned, not handed out. Too many times, women are conditioned to believe that if they are soft enough, kind enough, giving enough, then a man will automatically respond with love, loyalty, and respect. But life doesn't work like that. Men do not respect what is simply given to them freely. They respect what they had to work for, what they had to show up for, what they had to prove themselves worthy of. When you make nice your main tool, you give away your power without even realizing it. You smile when you don't want to, you say yes when your heart is screaming no, and you stretch yourself thin because you think pleasing him will secure his place in your life. But the truth is, all it secures is his comfort, not his respect. Being nice is easy. Anybody can do it. That's why it doesn't carry weight. Respect is a whole different level. Respect requires standards. Respect requires firmness. Respect requires you to look a man dead in the eye and make it clear that your time, your body, your energy, and your spirit are not for play. Respect requires you to stop putting your needs last and start honoring them first. Men respect women who respect themselves. If you are constantly being overly accommodating, constantly compromising your own values, constantly giving more than you receive, you teach him that you are not a woman to be valued. You are a woman to be used. Think about it. The people we respect in life, leaders, mentors, visionaries, they don't get respect because they're nice all the time. They get respect because they stand on principles, because they demand excellence, because they refuse to lower their standards. The same is true in relationships. A man respects a woman who says, if you want access to me, if you want to share space with me, if you want the privilege of my time, you must show me consistency, honesty, and effort. Respect is earned by making it known that you are not desperate for attention, that you are not thirsty for validation, that you are not willing to settle just to say you have someone by your side. Stop being nice to men who haven't proven anything. Stop pouring into men who have given you nothing to hold on to. Stop answering late, night calls when he didn't bother to check on you all week. Stop bending your plans to fit into his world when he doesn't make an effort to be part of yours. Every time you do that, you teach him that your niceness can be exploited, that you will always be there, no matter how little he gives. And the harsh truth is this: people do not respect what they can manipulate. People do not respect what they can control. People respect what they must rise to meet. Respect is not something a man can demand from you. It is something he must earn through his actions. And he earns it by showing up consistently, by keeping his word, by putting in effort, by proving that he values who you are and what you bring into his life. Respect is not handed out like candy. Respect is the prize for character, for commitment, for integrity. So if you want a man to respect you, stop being overly nice and start being discerning. Start paying attention not to what he says, but to what he does. Start holding him accountable for his actions. Start letting your standards speak louder than your desire to be liked. Niceness without boundaries is weakness, and weakness gets exploited. But firmness with grace commands attention, commands respect, and commands a different level of treatment. You can still be kind, you can still be loving, you can still be compassionate, but those things should be reserved for a man who has shown he is worthy of them. A man who is serious about you, a man who values you, a man who invests in you will never be pushed away by your standards. In fact, he will rise to meet them. But a man who only came for convenience will fall away the moment he realizes you won't let him take advantage of your niceness anymore. And that is how you separate the ones who want you from the ones who just want what you can give. Respect is earned when you say no without guilt, when you stop being accessible to anyone who isn't giving you what you need, when you stop giving away your energy like it's cheap. Respect is earned when you walk away from men who don't honor you. Respect is earned when you show that you'd rather be alone and peaceful than in company and disrespected. Stop being nice just to keep someone around. Start being strong enough to require more. Because the woman who knows her value doesn't hand out respect or love to just anybody. She makes sure it is earned. Boundaries teach a man how to treat you, not kindness alone. Kindness is beautiful, it's necessary, and it has its place. But kindness without boundaries is an invitation for someone to take advantage of you. Too often, women believe that if they're kind enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, then a man will naturally respect them. But respect is not born from kindness. It's born from the limits you set and the standards you enforce. A man cannot read your heart. He can only read the boundaries you put in place. When you draw that line and say, this is what I accept and this is what I don't, you are giving him a clear map of how to treat you. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors. A wall shuts everything out, but a boundary lets in the right things and keeps out what doesn't belong. It's not about being cold or hard, it's about being clear. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, and your dignity. When you let everything slide because you're too nice, you're not teaching a man respect. You're teaching him that your standards are flexible, that he can push as far as he wants, and you'll eventually cave. But when you establish boundaries, you're sending a message. I value myself too much to let you play games with me. Think about it. If you're always available, always answering calls, always rearranging your life to fit into his, then what are you teaching him? You're teaching him that your time doesn't have value. You're teaching him that he doesn't need to work for your attention, because you'll hand it over without question. But if you set boundaries, like not picking up the phone in the middle of the night when he's been ignoring you all week, or refusing to cancel your plans just because he suddenly decided he wants to see you, now you're teaching him that your time is important, that your life doesn't revolve around him, and that if he wants access to you, he needs to come correct. Boundaries teach consistency. They make it clear that you won't reward inconsistency, excuses, or half effort. Without them, kindness can actually become your weakness. Because kindness without boundaries says, I'll accept whatever you give me as long as I can keep the peace. But boundaries with kindness say, I love myself enough to protect my peace, and if you can't respect it, you don't get access to me. That's power. That's how you gain respect, not by being endlessly nice, but by showing that you're not afraid to walk away when your limits are ignored. The truth is, some men will test you, they'll push to see what they can get away with. It's not always intentional, but it's human nature. People will always test the strength of the fence to see if it holds. If you bend every time, they learn quickly that your no is really a maybe, and your standards are really suggestions. But if you stand firm, if you say what you mean and mean what you say, you teach him that your words carry weight. You teach him that you're not a woman who can be swayed by charm, excuses, or sweet talk. You are a woman whose boundaries are law. This doesn't mean you stop being kind. It means your kindness has structure. You can still be warm, compassionate, and loving, but you give those gifts to a man who respects the limits you've set. Boundaries don't push away the right man. They filter out the wrong ones. A man who is serious about you will not be offended by your boundaries. He will be motivated by them. He will see them as proof that you respect yourself, and he will rise to meet that level. But a man who only came to play games will fall away the moment he realizes he can't manipulate you anymore. That's not a loss, that's a blessing. Boundaries are also about self-respect. When you say, I don't allow yelling, I don't allow lying, I don't allow disrespect, you are honoring yourself. You are protecting the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. And when you do that, you're not just teaching a man how to treat you, you're reminding yourself how valuable you are. You're affirming your worth in every decision you make. Kindness is the icing on the cake, but boundaries are the recipe. Without boundaries, kindness is just sugar, sweet but empty. With boundaries, kindness has weight, it has impact, it has meaning. Because now your kindness is a choice, not a default. You're not being nice because you're afraid of losing him. You're being nice because he has earned the right to experience that part of you. That's the difference. That's where respect is born. So understand this. Kindness alone does not teach a man how to treat you. Boundaries do. Boundaries backed up by action, consistency, and the courage to walk away when those boundaries are crossed. A man who respects you will learn those boundaries and honor them. A man who doesn't will test them and lose you. Either way, you win because your boundaries are not negotiable. They are the foundation of your respect. Respect comes when you value yourself enough to walk away. The strongest signal you can ever send to a man is not in what you say, but in what you refuse to accept. Walking away is not weakness, it's power. It's the declaration that you are not afraid of being alone, that you are not desperate for attention, that your value does not diminish because someone failed to see it. When you walk away from disrespect, from inconsistency, from half-hearted effort, you are telling the world, I know my worth and I refuse to settle for less. That's when respect begins. Too many women hold on to relationships long past their expiration date because they are afraid. Afraid of starting over, afraid of being lonely, afraid of not finding better. And in that fear, they accept behavior that chips away at their dignity piece by piece. But the truth is, the longer you stay in what's wrong, the more you block what's right from reaching you. Respect doesn't come from tolerating mistreatment. Respect comes from walking away when you are no longer valued the way you deserve. Think about it. People don't respect what they know they can mistreat without consequence. Respect grows when there is the risk of loss. If a man knows you will stay no matter what he does, then there's no motivation for him to change, no reason for him to step up. But if he knows that you are willing to leave when your boundaries are crossed, that you will not stick around for broken promises and excuses, then he has no choice but to see you differently. Walking away sets the tone. It says, I am not begging, I am not chasing, I am not waiting for you to get it together. I am choosing me. Valuing yourself enough to walk away also forces you to confront your own fear. It takes courage to release what's familiar, even when it's toxic. But that courage builds self-respect. Every time you choose yourself over someone who mistreats you, your confidence grows. Every time you say no to less than you deserve, you affirm your worth. That's how you shift from being someone who hopes for respect to being someone who commands it. Walking away is not about punishing the other person. It's about protecting your peace. It's about recognizing that staying in a situation that drains you is more damaging than being alone. Loneliness is not the enemy. Settling is. Because when you settle, you teach yourself that you're not worthy of more. But when you walk away, you open the door for something better, whether that's a healthier relationship or simply a stronger version of yourself. Respect is also about consistency. When you walk away from people who don't value you, you're showing that your words and actions align. You're not just talking about boundaries, you're enforcing them. And when you enforce them, people learn that you mean what you say. That's where respect is born. Because respect is never about what you demand, it's about what you demonstrate. You demonstrate self-respect when you refuse to accept excuses in place of effort, when you refuse to allow lies in place of truth, when you refuse to allow crumbs in place of commitment. The hardest part of walking away is the emotional attachment. Your heart wants to stay while your mind knows you should go, but this is where valuing yourself must outweigh your fear. Love without respect will never satisfy you. Commitment without consistency will never fulfill you. Promises without action will never sustain you. If you want respect, you must be willing to leave behind anything that doesn't honor you. Because if you don't walk away, you're teaching someone that their mistreatment is acceptable. And people rarely change when they have no reason to. Walking away also changes the way you see yourself. Every time you choose to leave behind what doesn't serve you, you are rewriting your own story. You're telling yourself that you deserve more, and eventually you start to believe it. You stop chasing validation from others because you're validating yourself through your choices. And when you truly believe in your own worth, that energy radiates outward. People can feel it. They sense it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you no longer settle. That energy commands respect before you even open your mouth. Respect doesn't come from pleading with someone to see your value. It doesn't come from proving yourself, from competing, or from overgiving. It comes from having the courage to remove yourself from anything that refuses to honor you. Respect is not given to those who tolerate everything. It's given to those who stand for something. And the most powerful stand you can ever take is the one where you say, I love myself enough to leave what doesn't love me back the right way. Don't chase potential and consistent action and reality. Potential can be a dangerous trap because it paints a picture of what someone could be, not who they truly are right now. It's easy to fall in love with potential. You see glimpses of greatness, you hear promises of change, you catch moments of effort, and your heart wants to believe that if you just hold on long enough, they'll finally rise to the level you imagine. But potential without action is just imagination. Potential without consistency is just hope with no foundation. You cannot build a real relationship on what someone might become one day. You can only build on what they consistently show you in the present. Chasing potential keeps you stuck in cycles of waiting. Waiting for him to get serious, waiting for him to step up, waiting for him to fulfill promises that never leave his lips. And while you're waiting, you're pouring out your energy, your time, your love into something that doesn't exist yet. Meanwhile, the reality is staring you in the face. His actions don't match his words, his behavior doesn't align with his promises, and his effort doesn't equal what you deserve. The longer you chase potential, the more you blind yourself to the reality of who he is right now. Respect comes when you stop being impressed by words and start requiring consistency. Anybody can talk a good game, anybody can say, I'll do better, I'll change, I'll love you right. But words don't build trust, actions do. Promises don't create respect, patterns do. A man's reality is not in what he says on his best day, it's in what he does on his worst. Does he show up when it's inconvenient? Does he honor his commitments when nobody is watching? Does he treat you with respect even when he's frustrated? That's reality. That's who he truly is. When you demand reality, you stop making excuses for people. You stop saying, he has potential, he just needs time. You stop convincing yourself, if I just love him harder, he'll change. You stop playing the role of savior, mentor, or fixer. It is not your job to raise a man, to mold him, or to wait around until he decides to grow up. Your job is to recognize what's real and decide if it's enough for you. Because the truth is, people don't change because you believe in their potential. People change because they believe they need to, and they put in the consistent work to make it happen. Potential can blind you to red flags. You see who he could be, and you ignore who he is. You see the dream of what's possible, and you excuse the nightmare of what's happening. You tell yourself he's trying. But trying without consistency is just another way of stringing you along. Respect yourself enough to stop falling in love with a fantasy. Fall in love with reality, because reality will show you the truth even if it hurts, and it's better to face a painful truth than to live in a comfortable lie. Demanding consistent action doesn't make you harsh, it makes you wise. It means you value your time, your heart, and your energy too much to gamble them on what if. It means you're clear that love is not about potential, it's about proof. Proof in the form of effort, proof in the form of follow-through, proof in the form of actions that match words. Respectable men don't just talk, they show. They don't just promise, they deliver. They don't just say, I'll change. They change day after day until it becomes who they are. When you stop chasing potential, you raise your standards. You send the message that you are not impressed by talk, that you are not moved by excuses, that you are not swayed by temporary effort. You're looking for consistency, for stability, for reliability. You're looking for reality, and when a man knows that nothing less will do, he either steps up to meet that demand or he falls away. Either way, you win, because you're no longer wasting your energy on someone's future self. You're investing it in who they are right now. The truth is, the right man won't ask you to wait around while he figures it out. He'll show up ready. He'll show you through his consistency that he values you. He'll prove through his actions that you can trust him. And you'll never have to guess or hope, because his reality will speak louder than any potential ever could. A man respects a woman who respects herself first. Respect starts from within. If you don't carry yourself with dignity, if you don't protect your standards, if you don't honor your own value, you cannot expect anyone else to. Self-respect sets the tone for every relationship in your life, because people treat you according to the example you set for them. When a woman respects herself, it shows in her words, her choices, her boundaries, and her energy. She doesn't have to beg for respect. She commands it without ever raising her voice. Self-respect is not about arrogance, it's about alignment. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you refuse to tolerate. A woman who respects herself doesn't chase validation from others because she already validates herself. She doesn't stay in places where she is mistreated because she knows her worth doesn't diminish when someone fails to recognize it. She doesn't compromise her peace to please people because she understands that her happiness is not up for negotiation. That level of self-respect is magnetic, and men respond to it. A man can admire beauty, he can be attracted to charm, he can enjoy sweetness, but what he will respect is strength rooted in self-respect. A man knows he cannot play games with a woman who honors herself. He knows he cannot run circles around her with lies and empty promises because she has already drawn the line. He knows that if he wants her in his life, he has to rise to her standard because she will not lower it to accommodate him. That's the difference self-respect makes. It forces a man to show up correctly or step aside. When a woman respects herself, she becomes selective. She doesn't entertain every man who shows interest because she understands that attention is cheap, but effort is priceless. She looks past words and pays attention to actions. She is not fooled by potential. She is not blinded by flattery. She is not swayed by charm. She knows her time is valuable, her energy is precious, and her love is powerful, so she does not hand it out carelessly. That selectiveness teaches a man that being in her life is a privilege, not a right, and privileges must be earned. Self-respect also means holding yourself accountable. It's not just about demanding better from others, it's about demanding better from yourself. A woman who respects herself doesn't just say she has standards, she lives by them. She doesn't make excuses for poor choices, she learns from them and grows stronger. She doesn't ignore red flags, she acts on them. She doesn't compromise her values to fit into someone else's life. She stands firm in who she is. That kind of consistency builds unshakable confidence, and confidence commands respect. A man respects a woman who respects herself because she shows him how to treat her. She makes it clear through her boundaries, her discipline, and her consistency. If she says, "I don't tolerate disrespect," and then walks away the moment it happens, he learns quickly that her words are law. If she says, "I don't chase, I attract," and then continues to live her life fully instead of waiting by the phone, he realizes she cannot be manipulated. If she says, "I know my worth," and then demonstrates it through the way she moves, he has no choice but to adjust how he approaches her. Self-respect is not about being cold or distant, it's about balance. A woman who respects herself still gives love, but she gives it wisely. She still shows kindness, but she doesn't let it be taken for weakness. She still forgives, but she doesn't allow repeat offenses. She still supports, but she doesn't carry the entire weight of someone else's irresponsibility. That balance is what earns true respect, because it shows that her compassion is powerful, but not naive. The truth is, men mirror what you model. If you model self-respect, they will either rise to meet it or fall away. If you model self-neglect, they will take advantage of it. A man cannot respect a woman who doesn't respect herself, because respect has to start from within. The way you speak about yourself, the way you treat yourself, the way you enforce your standards, all of it tells him what's acceptable and what's not. Self-respect also builds independence. It makes you whole on your own, so you're not clinging to a man out of fear of being alone. You're choosing to be with him, not needing to be with him. That shift in energy is powerful. A man respects a woman who is with him because she wants him, not because she needs him. He knows she won't tolerate nonsense because she's not afraid to walk away. He knows she won't accept crumbs because she can feed herself. That independence backed by self-respect changes the entire dynamic. At the end of the day, self-respect is the foundation. Without it, love turns into desperation, kindness turns into weakness, and patience turns into tolerance of mistreatment. With it, love becomes healthy, kindness becomes strength, and patience becomes wisdom. A man can't help but respect a woman who respects herself first, because she leaves him no other option. She has already decided who she is, what she deserves, and what she will and will not allow. And when that decision is made, everything else falls into place.